Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Markets with Morning Joe. This is my second video of the day. Today is April 6th. It is Sunday and it is 20 past 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm making a few videos tonight. First one I just finished. I talked about the S&P 500, the QQQ, as well as a little bit of gold and Bitcoin. And I finished off talking about Microsoft and Apple. Microsoft and Apple both had head and shoulder patterns on the weekly chart. And I was running out of time on the Apple chart in the last video. So I wanted to kind of talk about this one, finish off talking about Apple here. So here is your head and shoulder pattern. So you got a head, shoulder, head, and it broke the neckline right here. That was support. It broke through there about, 4 weeks ago, and it was kind of chopping sideways for the last 3.5 weeks, and then it just gave out, right? So it came to the bottom of this parallel channel that I've had since probably since 2022. Let me see here. Come on, let's go, move it. Let's go. This is 20. Okay, so this is from April 20th, so from the March lows. All right, so since April 2020, all right, this giant parallel move up for Apple. It finally broke below now. Now you can see it's not the first time it broke below, right? It broke below back in April 24, and it broke below in January of 23. So the question is now, is there enough support here for a bounce back? Okay, is there enough support? So we have a lot of support here in the last few years. All right, that could hold for a little while. All right, we've got some support at 176 if the continuation selling. If the selling continues, 170, 175, 180 almost. Now, if it gets down here, which it very well could tomorrow, being Monday, and possibly even through Tuesday and Wednesday. Let me go to a monthly chart. So on a monthly chart of Apple, the 50-day moving average is at 177. So on a weekly chart, it's the 200-day moving average. On a monthly chart, it's a 50-day. Now, this is the last bit of support, I would say, this area right here. If Apple continues to weaken from here, the next move down, really, you're going to see it down to 129, 130 area first. And if things get really, really bad, you're going to see Apple down, below 100 points. I don't know if it's going to get there. I mean, if Apple gets down that far, that the whole market is, it has tanked. But we'll see what happens. I don't know if that's part of Trump's master plan or not. So I talked about gold in the last video. I did not talk about silver. Let's talk about silver futures. Silver sold off this week with gold and oil, for that matter. And I was not expecting silver to sell off this much. Silver got annihilated. 13% sell off last. I'm sorry, hold on a second. That's for the monthly chart. 13%, still more than 13% on the weekly. Okay, so it was looking like it was going to break above the previous highs from October and make new highs. I was really expecting it to make new highs up to $37, and it just fucking reversed and tanked and lost everything over the last 2-3 months. So the question now is, now you can see, okay, we have a little tiny little green bar right here. Let me change this to an arrow. Tiny little green bar. That's the start of this coming week. That's tomorrow, okay, since we're looking at the futures chart. Does this get a bounce back? I would think so. After this huge, massive sell-off, there should be some sort of a bounce back, at least up to $30.50, okay? We've got a lot of support right here. If not, then we're going to see silver head down even lower, okay? So, and how much lower? You're looking at it right here, basically $25, give or take. If I make another trend line from these lows here, along with these lows, we're basically even with the 200-day moving average here on the weekly chart, right? So if we don't get a huge bounce back and we just get a minor bounce, and then we can see further selling in silver. Okay, that's silver. I want to talk about the SPX again. So I showed you this chart in the last video and then a few videos, but I want to change something up here. So I've got this parallel from 23. I want to make a different parallel. If you guys watched one of my earliest videos, like basically the first or second video, I made a channel, a video talking about the SPX, and I believe I made a parallel channel from here just about. So I want to see something here. So if I start from here, okay, it's kind of similar to this. So going back, I'm going to even extend this out even further. All right, so if I was to start at 98, okay, 97, you see how the chart here was at the upper end of the parallel, and then it sold off in 2000. Okay, it was riding the top of this parallel channel in 2000, and then it sold off to the middle of the channel in '02, and then we went sideways, kind of up, but sideways up for 5 years, and it sold off in '07, right around the housing market crash, or the global market crash, I believe. Okay, so from late '07 to '09, it went from the middle of the channel down to the bottom of the channel, and then it just went basically very slowly sideways, up, 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 up from 2009 up until basically 2020. Okay, and so in 2020 we had COVID, and it crashed again. But did COVID really? I mean, I know COVID kind of poured fuel on the fire, but since we got into the middle of the chart, right, it was almost as if it was meant to sell off, like almost as if it was meant to be. Something was meant to happen to cause a sell off, because every time, the market got to, one of these levels, it would, sell off or hold for a little while, then sell off again, and then very, very, very slowly, with a lot of stimulus money, work its way back up to the middle of the channel, sell off again to the very bottom, and then, the basically the governments and all the central banks and treasuries or whatever, whoever prints the money, whoever stimulates the markets, had a huge stimulus, first by Trump after COVID, and then again by Biden, right? So you see it went from the lows of this channel in 2020 up to the very top, and then we had another recession, okay, in October of 22, all right, and it made it just below the middle of the parallel, right into the 50-day moving average on a monthly, and that's where I have this trend line support set. And so they stimulated the hell out of this economy, and it wasn't just the United States, right? It was a lot of countries, I believe, but this is the United States market, right? So from the middle of the trend line, just about up through, there was so much stimulus, okay, that it literally blasted through this parallel channel, going back to before 2000, right? So in the last 24 years, think about it, even more than 24 years, the market has been trading within this parallel channel, and they stimulated the market so much, they juiced it so much, this thing's on so much steroids, that it made it through, it broke through back since February of 24. So the last year, all of last year, just about in 2024, this thing was so ridiculous. All right, and finally the bubble has burst. Okay, so people are panicking about the market selling off. Are you fucking kidding me? Look at this shit. Over the last 4 years, look how much money has been created out of thin air, out of printed money. Okay, and basically this is why the country's in so much debt, right? But so this the sell off that has been occurring is it's like a little blimp on the bigger, picture. But we're coming into some support nonetheless. But if the selling continues, guys, and it breaks below this trend line here and it makes it below the 50-day moving average on a monthly chart, which is at 4,600, then we're going down to 4,100. All right. Now from 4,100, we might get, more. It's never going to go just straight down. I mean, I doubt it'll go straight down. But then again, who knows really? I mean, that would be astonishing. But you know, I would not be surprised to see the markets back down into the $3,000 range or even below. Below 3,000. If things get really really bad, if Trump sticks with the tariffs and retaliation war continues from other countries, then this market's going to go much, much, much lower. So, but I guess it's just a wait and see what really, really happens, guys. All right. All right. So enough about that. I'm going to talk about some other stocks. Oil, like I said, oil sold off, had a huge sell off and I've been talking about it selling off. I've been expecting it to go lower, but it's been kind of taking its time. But it finally really broke below so I've been for the last really since September of last year, it's been kind of riding along this lower trend line here, and I've been waiting for it to break. And look, back in December, it had a huge move up, right? And then Monday, January 13th, it topped out. That's on a week. That week it topped out at $80, and it basically reversed and broke even lower since then. But I mean, what a heck of a sell off in oil. So now the question is, how much lower does it go? Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. Like basically, I was expecting a move from 95 down to uh, 67. So call it $30. $30 from here, 87 minus 30. So I was expecting it to get into the mid 50s, all right, and possibly lower because it's not going to just stop there. But if you look at a larger time frame, you've got a heck of a lot of support, in this area. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how low Trump wants it to go. I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce. We'll see what happens with the markets. Natural gas, as technology was selling, it actually did sell off this week, which was kind of surprising to me. I thought it would have gone in the opposite direction, but everything, gold sold off, silver sold off, oil sold off, along with the markets. Everything except for Bitcoin, which I think there is some manipulation in Bitcoin just due to the fact that MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor pumping the shit out of Bitcoin, MicroStrategy's, selling their stocks to buy more Bitcoin. GameStop was selling their stocks or their company to buy Bitcoin, and Mara was buying. So a lot of buying happened. This took place this past week in Bitcoin, and I think that's what kept Bitcoin up. But anyway, back to Nat Gas. So Nat Gas is still into some really good support right here. If it does continue to sell, we're going down into the $3 range, but I think that's going to be, short term. I mean, on a monthly basis, monthly chart, there's a lot of support at $3.50. So we'll see what happens with Nat Gas. I'm still bullish on Nat Gas. Could take a little bit longer though. Like I said, I talked about Microsoft and Apple in the last video. Let's talk about Google. Google had a huge sell-off. It's into some really good support though. All right, so Google's at great support. Does it get a little bit lower? Possibly. We could see some more selling down into the low 140s. That's these tech stocks are getting so low that they're due for a bounce. Amazon got annihilated. I had a couple of support lines on Amazon. There you go. There's one of them at least. So I said, if I was talking to a buddy of mine a couple of days ago, I said if Amazon breaks this trend line, it's heading lower, much lower, and it did. Not only did it break through, but it fucking really broke through. And I think on Friday morning, I believe I saw it at like 162, 163. I couldn't believe it. That was pre-market. So it'll probably get there. I don't think the selling is over. Amazon's into a lot of support. Okay, you see all of this. There's a lot of support right here, but if there's a continuation of selling tomorrow morning, which would be Monday, we could see Amazon possibly get down to 160, 162 where it was Friday morning, and maybe even lower. We'll see. But there's definitely a lot of support here in technology. Palantir finally, reversed a little bit. It was annoying the shit out of me. Like Palantir and MicroStrategy and Tesla have been kind of trading similar, okay, where they've been very stubborn to sell off, and it seems like there's I don't know, I think there's a lot of retail buyers that have been, holding on to Palantir like desperately, along with MicroStrategy and Tesla. But it finally broke below this trend line. All right, it had a fake move up, which pissed me off because I was like, what the hell, like seriously? But it came back like everything else, and it sold off down to $72. There is a little bit of support here. We probably will get a bounce back into $80, but I think that's it. I think it's game over for Palantir. This thing's got to reset back into the mid 50s, and I've said that in the last 3-4 videos that I expected Palantir to come in. So again, if we get a market rally, we'll get a little bit higher in Palantir. But this move from 126 down to approximately $80. That's $45, and $45 from this high cuts it in half. So eventually, guys, expect Palantir to be back in the mid 40s. All right. Meta got annihilated also, as well as everything else, and it finally broke below the parallel channel that I had here. And I told you guys last week in the video that I was expecting it to get to 540. Well, from Wednesday night, all right, it shot back up to 596, and then it gapped down Thursday all the way down to 545, guys, and it closed at 534. And then the continuation on Friday took it all the way down to 496. So there's a really good level of support at 490 for Meta, right? So if I look over here, $486, there's some really good support right here. Let me go to a monthly. Right here. Okay, so on a monthly chart, we've got a 20-day moving average at 494. All right, and we almost got there. I mean, fuck, it went down to 496 for God's sake. So it pretty much got there. But you see, we've got some good support right here, guys. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a slight bounce from this level back up to like 520 something, 530. I think it can get there maybe Monday. We'll see. If not, then definitely throughout later in the week. If there's a reversal, a bounce. Otherwise, we're going to see eventually, not otherwise, but eventually we're going to see Meta back down into the $400 range. Okay. So $385, $400, possibly lower. And, let's see. Home Depot, I had a short on Home Depot, and it was so stubborn until Friday, man. It finally gave in Thursday and Friday, and it finally put in a weekly topping tail. So I was expecting Home Depot to get to 520. First of all, it had a massive sell-off after it broke this, let me set this up. After it broke this head and shoulder trend line right here, all right, it closed below. I knew it was going down. It had a huge vicious move down, all right, from basically 383 all the way down to 345. So $40 just about in 1 week, which was faster than I was expecting. But then it had 3 weeks of sideways upwards consolidation and faking everybody out, like trying to scare people from anybody that was short Home Depot, right? But again, this is a bear flag pattern. So flagpole, here's your flag, bearish flag pattern, and this is going lower. So I am set on this going from 426 to 347. So what was that? I'm running out of time, guys. These fucking videos, man. 427. 427. So 60. All right, guys. I'll have to make another video. Sorry, I'm running. I've got 10 seconds left on the clock. So I'm gonna make a third video, and we'll talk more about Home Depot. So hope you liked this video so far. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks.